Good evening. Hello, hello. It has been a minute. There hasn't been a whole lot of news until this past Friday. And frankly, I've been playing a lot of Octopath and also getting something together for a bit of a thicker video that I want to record probably this week sometime? Question mark. Very boomer energy, but hopefully people like it. Anyway, the news that we've gotten, as per usual, it seems like every other Friday, Jasco does some sort of a news dump. It's almost like they have a bi-weekly meeting where they remember that they're supposed to tell us stuff, and then we don't get a whole lot for the next 2 weeks, and then it's been the pattern for the past couple months now. But what we did get, we got an official DLC release date. This is the Chibi DLC pictured above. I've got Todoroki, Deku, Eraserhead, and Bakugo. They are all character themed. They all stack characters or use characters in different ways. And they don't really have dedicated support cards. It's just kind of 8 disparate cards that are, somewhat aligned with the characters a little bit in different ways, but they don't like share all 3 symbols or anything like that. So it's just 12 different characters on Chibi art. Some of them are character cards, some are attacks, some are foundations. Pretty neat. Link to the article in the description that I believe just shows the characters, but you can find the previews on Discord or on Facebook or elsewhere. Or in my last video, before they were officially previewed, I believe I got a link to Sam Tate getting those early. So that comes out April 7th, which means this Oceanic RLE will be the only major event that has set 4 but not the Chibi DLC legal. So it'll be a unique little format there. Speaking of which, that event is going to have, that has a wait list now, so it filled up to capacity. They set the capacity to 128 for round counting reasons or whatever it might be. Maybe someone running it is on the West Coast or something like that, and they only want to be up so long, or I don't know why, but it is capped to 128. That cap has filled, and there are people from Oceania that are like, I want to play in our own regional, right? But it's full, so Jasco's made a wait list, and if people back out, then they'll pull people off the wait list, but you have to be actually from the region to get on the wait list. So I'll link that in the description for anyone who's interested. We'll see if we get some backouts as we get closer. Usually that sort of thing does happen. So on other RLE news, the Kansas City RLE signups are finally live. Those were greatly delayed for unknown reasons, but those are up now. I'll link to those. And working backwards a little bit here, we got a Provisional Store Championship schedule. So all the stores that got approved for Provisional Store Championships got some emails saying, hey, you're approved for this date, and this date. And Jessica's posted a schedule up through the end of April. That is not the full season. There are going to be provisionals after that. But for now, they've just posted through April. It's a pretty long enough list as it is. They probably just figured they'd ship that instead of, waiting however long to nail down all the rest of the dates. Or maybe some stores are, non-committed to the dates that are farther in advance or something. But that list is up, so you can peruse that, sort of Control F for your state or your region or what have you. And yeah, check that out. There's like a couple on there. I think Unfun Stuff is going to try to do them via webcam. Rochester might do some later ones via webcam, but they're going to do their first one in-house. But there's a lot on that the first day of these pretty much is March 25th, and there's an awful lot on that day. So I don't know how many people are showing up to a webcam one anyway. But yeah, check those out. Chance to get 3 unique promos that we talked about a little bit last time. There's the Toga Twice card, the counter character card, as well as the introduction of All Might 7. In proper form, though, you'll still be able to play Ball Might or the fantasy one from Gen Con, right? Aside from that, we had on this past Monday, they did their first monthly Monday Mayhem. The top 8, the 8 players that went 3-0 got some cash, got $125. This was limited to League of Villains characters only. So I'll post the list, the results in the description. It's hard to take anything away from this competitively other than just like these are some interesting lists, because obviously none of these characters had to compete with characters from previous sets. But we had a couple Shigarakis, a couple Dobbies. We had an Innsmouth, a Muscular, 2 Kurogiris, I think was the mix. I might have one of those numbers wrong, but nothing too shocking. Kind of what you probably would have expected to see as the top 8 of that event. But some variety in there, which is nice to see. And for one last regional to talk about, we've got the Kissimmee regional in Orlando coming up. This is going to be the first in-person regional. It's going to be, pretty big. The first in-person event for a lot of people since October. The Dallas Nationals is the first in-person major that people are going to be able to go to. So we'll see what that turnout is like. The actual number of registrations is hidden for some reason. We don't really know why, but presumably it's going to be pretty well populated. And what they came out with, they released all the side event details. So the main format for their side events are going to be, they're going to do a 2-deck format, which is you bring 2 decks and you have to win 1 game with each. That's presumably MHA. They're going to do some sealed. They're going to do a common ground one, and they're going to have a teams event, a teams MHA constructed event. And those are going to run at 3 and 6 p.m. on Saturday and 9, 12, 3, 6 on Sunday. So every 3 hours, which means you probably can't get into back-to-back ones unless you drop early, because these events are all going to be 3 rounds. So they're going to take 3.5 plus hours, more if they're sealed. So you have to pick your spots. We'll link the full schedule in the description, sort of think about... You can decide on the weekend too, but which ones you want to enter when. And then also they're going to try to do some on-demand pods for MHA and also Standard. So Standard not really getting its own dedicated side event here. They're just kind of put a sign-up sheet and see if people fill it out. I would be somewhat surprised if that filled out, unless, a group of players sort of self-organized for it. But I believe, and my memory might be wrong, I don't think that was originally on the schedule. I think they had an on-demand draft and MHA constructed, and they changed it to Standard later. Somebody from Jasco probably gave PPG a call and said, like, hey, we're supposed to be supporting this format. So they kind of got it in there. We'll see if plays a heavier role, when LWG is hosting or when Rochester's hosting or some store that actually cares about Standard, right? PPG is a new store with MHA, so they don't have any Standard cards. They have no interest in Standard, so it's just kind of an on-demand. If people want to play it, they'll give you some promos for it, but they want to... It looks like they're featuring this 2-deck format primarily. That's happening twice. I think that's happening twice, and Sealed is happening twice. And then there's 1 Common Grounds and 1 Teams event. So if you're going to Kissimmee, check that out. Make sure you're aware of what's when, have an idea of what your plans are at different points during the day, depending on how you're doing in the tournament. And that's really it for the news. Pretty, a bunch of little things. Not a whole lot of big details. Not necessarily expecting a whole lot upcoming at this point. We're certainly far from any sort of Set 5 previews. It seems like they're just going to roll with this Plus Ultra thing because, they haven't announced any changes to that yet. We're still waiting to see if they do something with the monthly event tiebreaker. They said they were going to send out a survey about that. That has not appeared. It's a bit of a silly survey to send because everybody hates it and they know everybody hates it, but they say they're going to send a survey anyway. But that was supposed to go up on Friday, I guess, and that didn't happen. So maybe they thought better of it. We'll see if that comes at some point. Yeah, that's going to be all for today. Like I said, I'm probably going to do a bigger kind of boomer energy video later in this week, just kind of doing a bit of a history walkthrough of some different things. And we'll see what we do after that. I've always got like a few lingering ideas, but yeah, until next time, have a good night.